Today I am trying to fix my favourite pair of trousers. I'm really funny about fabrics. These are like it was like a thick jersey knit. They're really soft, and this is an ideal fabric for me. I have jeggings, like faux denim, stretchy denim, and I wear those when I'm going out, but I don't like wearing them at home. I find them uncomfortable. I hate denim, absolutely loathe denim. And I grew out of leggings a few years ago. Don't like those anymore. Ideally, I need to get a new pair of trousers, but I've been patching these up for some years. I've probably had them 15 years, and I love them. The elastic on the waist over the years has gone, and all I'm going to do is put some darts in the back, just a couple of darts, which is what I tend to do with trousers anyway, because in order to get something that fits me on the hip, I need something that's too big on the waist, and then I just put darts in the waistlines and then things fit me. So I'm going to just mark up the darts, and while I'm doing that I'm going to chat, because this seems a good way to do two things at once. I'm going to talk about, I watched Shirley Valentine last night, and I guess they'll be going through a phase of showing that every week for ages. I tend to avoid watching that film. I find it quite depressing, particularly at the start, where she is talking about, you know, where her life's gone. She's ended up being dissatisfied with her life, and I'm not saying that being a housewife and raising children is a bad way to live your life if that's what you want, but if you fall into it and you just kind of go with it, and then suddenly you're looking at your life 20 years later and you haven't done anything, or you've lost your identity because you're known as a wife and mother, and your life is geared around looking after children and shopping and cooking, that can be an incredibly depressing way to live your life. And it was never for me, for various reasons. One, it's what my mum did, and my mum always wanted to do other things with her life. She was a very good artist. She probably still is, I don't know. I don't think she's done any art in years. Very good artist, loved to sing, wanted to do something creative with her life, and was told that she wasn't allowed to do that because she was born in the mid-40s, and expectations for different women. I mean, there were women, obviously, who were able to say, I'm going to go and do what I want, I don't care what you think. But my mum wasn't one of those people. My mum does not have that kind of personality. So she did what she was expected to do. She got married, she raised 2 children, she completely lost her identity. And it wasn't until us kids had grown up, because my dad used to work really long hours, so my mum spent a lot of time on her own. She didn't drive in the early days, and we live in a village which was reasonably isolated. So unless you knew people in the village, which, I mean, they've lived there for donkey's years, they practically know everybody. But unless, and if you were frustrated by that situation of just taking the kids to school, or looking after the children, taking the kids to school, doing the shopping, doing the cooking, doing the cleaning, it's a very frustrating way to live your life. And my mum finally was able to get her driving licence in the 80s. We were quite young, actually. And it wasn't really until us kids were grown up and able to look after ourselves more that my parents gained themselves a certain freedom. And not so much since retirement, but before that, you know, when we had all left home and got on with our lives, they started to travel more, and they've been to so many countries, probably so many places that I will never go to, but they have done it in later life. So they've done cruises, they've been to Egypt, they've been to Peru, they've been to America, they've been to Australia, they've been to so many places and done so many amazing holidays. And you know, they've been able to indulge, and certainly for my mum, who I think needed that. And when my mum got older, she went back to school. She got an A level in psychology, just because she could, and she did that in her 50s, I think, and loved it. Passed with absolute flying colours, and she just wanted to say that she'd done it. I think she never did anything with it. She also always loved to sing, and she's in an older ladies choir, or older people. There are men there as well, and they meet up every week and they do their singing, and sometimes they go and perform as well, and she's having a wonderful time. And I mean, things have changed a bit now. There are now grandchildren, and my brother and his wife struggle with the routine of 3 children between the ages of 3 and 8. So mum has found herself doing a lot more helping out. So there's lots of early mornings because she helps with the school run, and then there's afternoon sitting. But mum always says, you know, my brother had his kids late, they're never going to see the kids grow up, let's do as much as we can with them. So they do. But yeah, so the whole Shirley Valentine thing, certainly at the beginning, I hate watching it because it reminds me of some of the things that my mum's told me about how frustrated she was and how she felt undermined by the role that she had in life, and how unrewarding in some respects life has been. I don't think she regrets having children, but certainly she did a lot to encourage me to not want it, and I've never wanted it. And I don't know if that's just because that's the way I was, whether it was my upbringing, probably a little bit of everything. And I'm glad I never settled down. I'm glad I never did it, because I'd be climbing the walls by now. I would have left. It would be a broken family, for sure. That said, I wouldn't say that I have done a lot with my life. I've probably done more than some people. But I definitely, despite not wanting to settle down and have kids, I definitely squandered a lot of my life on people, on partners. I don't know why. I wasn't very good at dealing with people, walking away from relationships. I would tend to stick them out until it reached a snapping point where I couldn't cope anymore. I don't know what it was with me. I should have been a lot tougher, a lot more selfish, and walked away from relationships. But one of the problems was that I didn't always feel that I could live on my own, that I wasn't financially capable. I didn't understand any of that back then. I just assumed that you got into a relationship and then you had 2 incomes and you'd be a bit more secure. It didn't always happen, because some of my partners were useless wastes of space, and I was paying for everything, so that was amusing. So I'm just going to sew this on my machine, which is my semi-industrial sewing machine, so excuse the whirring of the motor. Hopefully you can still hear me. And I've now been living in the northwest for 9 years. This is a long time. I've moved a lot thanks to all those relationship breakdowns. I've never found the place where I could imagine settling down. I think if I did, it would be back home where my parents are, but it's too expensive down there. I cannot afford to live down there. So here I am at the moment, having finally, in my early 40s, been able to live on my own, run my own place, and hone my life to the way I wanted it to be, which is kind of what it is now. But I feel like I am reaching the point of, now I need to look at the next stage. What am I going to do next? Because I don't want to live here forever. I'm here because it was cheap. I have no attachments to this area at all. I have no reason to stay here beyond the fact that it's just the cheapest place I found, and thanks to all the things that are on my doorstep, it enables me to be frugal. And so that's one reason why I've stayed. I think things like, I mean, it's an easy excuse to make, but things like the pandemic have maybe set plans back, and I've done other things. It's enabled me to think outside the box a lot on my business, how I earn my money. I've become much more of a survivalist. I mean, I breezed through the pandemic, no problem, because of the way I worked and the way I earned my money. I was very self-sufficient. I didn't lose income because I knew how to pivot my business. And so I did learn an awful lot in that time. And now we are back in yet another economic crisis. I've lived through several. And that's not over. I mean, 2023 was bad. 2024, I suspect, is going to be much the same, if perhaps a little worse. I think it'll get worse before it gets better, and I don't think that things are going to improve until next year. So I'm looking for other direction, but I don't know what that is. I mean, I don't know if it needs to be a new place or it needs to be new things. I think a lot of it revolves around finding purpose, and my purpose was always what my business was about, the ethics of it, the upcycle, the recycle, and I still enjoy it. I still enjoy what I do. I love the creativity. It gives me the outlet that I need to do the creativity that I want, and that's great. But I also feel like, there we go, 2 new darts in the back. Where are they? There's the darts. Dart there and a dart there, and that's the centre back. So that will put a little bit of more tension on the waist. Yeah, so I don't know where I'm going. I don't think that moving will make any difference, because I don't think the purpose is in moving, because you're just picking up the same situation and moving it. And in fact, if I move, the financial situation will probably get worse. So that's another thing. Do I want to take the financial risk when I've just got things into a nice, neat pile? Am I better off basing myself here? Because moving doesn't solve any of the situations or any of the problems. It's not like I want to go travelling. I'm not going to buy a house. It's more a case of what am I doing with my time that makes my life seem worthwhile. And that doesn't mean going out and getting a job. It's nothing to do with that at all. It's not about the income. Although I use the small income as an excuse, I think, for me not doing things and for me being scared to go out and do stuff. But I don't even know if that is what it is. I think it's about the purpose. It's about what you do with your time. And I keep coming back to this channel, that this is still relatively new. It's been going for a year. It's now earning an income of sorts. And is this the purpose that I'm looking for now? Because of what I talk about and the things that I do, it's helping other people. And although I would never consider myself the kind of person, I'm not a people person, I'm an introvert, but I've discovered that actually giving advice to people and helping people in this way is really satisfying. And this is something I can do and just combine with my day-to-day life. You know, I can sit here and do some sewing and talk to you guys, and it doesn't take anything out of my day. I can have a chat while I'm doing an errand, walk into the supermarket. There's all sorts of things I can do. And it's really just my day-to-day life, but I think that I've got my life down to such a fine art in some respects that it's now useful to other people because of what I'm doing and the way I'm doing it. So I do think this has a lot more scope. I think that carrying on with this channel, now it's only just been monetized, I need to see what that income is going to look like. I've done some rough predictions, and I have now put out my monetization, first month monetization vlog, so I have some vague predictions on how this might go, and it could form a reasonably substantial part of my income because I have lots of little side hustles, and now this could become one of the better paying ones. So it's just so difficult. I don't know where to go this year. And very often when I don't know where to go and I'm looking for inspiration, very often it finds me. And last year it found me, which was this channel. So this year might be just the expansion of that and carrying on. I'm not going to do a Shirley Valentine and disappear off to Greece and work in a restaurant. It doesn't solve any problems. I am very much anchored to this country because of family. I feel that I need to be around and I want to be around, and I'm kind of making up for lost years really and lost time. I've worked out that I probably spend about 2 months of the year with my parents. I go down there every quarter and stay about 2 weeks. So 2 months out of every 12 I get to see my family. And I'm okay with that in terms of that I'm okay on my own and stuff like that, but in terms of they're getting older and what have you. So there's lots of things that go around in my mind. And the thing is, if I just go, oh, I'm just going to do my own thing, it doesn't matter about them. Once they're gone, they're gone. You know, you can't rein that in. You can't turn back time and change that. So whilst they are kind of anchoring me here and to certain situations, I don't regret that, because I don't want to be looking back in 10 years and saying, I wish I spent more time with my parents before they were gone. And who knows, they might still be around in 20 years, we don't know. They are still relatively fit and healthy. A few minor niggles, but they are almost 80, it happens. So I don't feel that in many ways an awful lot is going to change soon, and I think that whatever happens with them will be very defining in terms of what happens next. Not that I want to sit around for 10, 15 years waiting to find out. I certainly don't want to be around here in 10 years time. I don't really want to be here in 2 years time. I can imagine me moving, but again, I'm leaving fate to deal with that. Who knows, maybe the rent will go through the roof and I won't be able to afford to stay here, or maybe something will happen to the building, maybe he will decide to sell up, who knows. Sorry, we're going for a walk. Gosh, it's dark. I don't know if you can hear that. Downstairs is singing again. Anyway, so I'm going to sign off now. More thoughts. It's New Year, so, well, we're into the second half of January, so I bet loads of us are thinking about things like this and thinking what's to come in the year. Apart from more economic crisis, that thing in the Red Sea is probably going to cause all sorts of problems with getting supplies in. They reckon the price of everything is going to go up, oil's going to go up, goods aren't going to get in. It's going to be like another pandemic situation. We'll see. I think it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. But anyway, right, so I'm going to go. I need to switch some music on so I can drown out my irritating neighbour, and I have more vintage stuff to pack. State of my hair. I really need to get a hair wash. Anyway, so that's now. Signing off.